Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the G-Code presentation, A-Tone Productions. We have here with us today, Hector Guzman. I am Marcus Bernard. Thank you for joining us. Let's get into a discussion about sound, as this place here was just fixed up and prepared for the hosting of this show. We appreciate you for coming through and providing your expertise. And we'd like to know, how did you get involved in film production and sound end?
So from the sound end, I had always had interest in radio. But when I was in high school, I was told back and forth time and time again that, oh, it's kind of a dying industry, that's not necessarily going to be career security. And despite hearing that, I still wanted to just go ahead and try to see. Obviously, I didn't land any radio station gigs or nothing of that nature, but I was interested in how to more or less do it on my own. I found podcasting because I'm a wrestling fan. I saw some wrestlers doing podcasts, and I was like, oh, okay, this is a new avenue of entertainment that I've never really thought to explore before. So I had gotten into it. I had started making my own little podcast. It was called the 𝗬𝗪𝗡𝗡, and it's still on YouTube. I'm trying to bring it back, but if I don't anytime soon, my apologies. But nevertheless, I had just worked on that, but I always had an interest in filmmaking as well. So when I had started just doing films, I was just doing extra roles because that's like everybody's foot in the door. You know, you're just the guy in the background. But it wasn't until I got an extra role in one of your projects that obviously when you send your audition tape, you send in what you worked on or what you can more or less do for the film. So I had sent just the YouTube channel, but I had put that, I had edited it, I had did the design for the little logos, and I had also did the sound for it. And you had told me, it's just like, hey, look, you know, I don't want you to take this any offense, but there's plenty of extras, but there's not that many sound people in movies. And when you had told me that, I was like, oh, I was like, you're trying to show the career, but you had told me to just come speak to you further on different projects. And so I was like, okay. So I continued working with you. And because of working with you, I got to work on other different projects as well. But I got to work with sound. And part of being sound is that you're more or less next to the director because, you know, the audio is important in any aspect of the film, but it's mainly important because that's what an individual can register the dialogue with. Like if somebody's voice sounds shaky during a drama scene, you want that audio. You want to catch those little shakes or those little quivers because you want to convey to the audience that this individual is sad. You know, if they're angry, you want to, you know, put it to where you don't have the microphone popping, but you record them at the height of their anger, yelling, screaming, things of that nature. So it was fun because I had just there's that analogy of just like pushing a child into a pool and to start swimming. And I felt like, in a spiritual level, you had more or less did that with me because, you know, doing extra work is fine. You get your little checks, you get your occasional little Caesar's pizza, but working audio allowed me to actually sharpen and hone my skills in regards to filmmaking, but it also introduced me to something that I could apply my knowledge of podcasting or of sound and then use it for something that could be beneficial and something that has also given me just financial opportunities and then just creative opportunities.
Yes, man. You know, one of the main things you just mentioned was that sound is very important. And a lot of independent producers and directors or would-be producers kind of skip over the importance of sound. And sound has been said that, it's been stated that 70% of watching a movie is sound. You're actually watching with your ears, and you can get away with a lot of things visually as long as your sound is proper. So give us some more about how important the sound is. Elaborate on that a little bit more for us.
Yeah, no, definitely. So sound is important because especially sound assists in the tone of whatever film that you're making. Sound assists in getting the people to understand it because we've all seen things, but we've all misconstrued things. Like obviously everybody knows the example of, hey, are you laughing or are you crying? Because that sound could swing either way and it's appropriate towards that thing. And like I had said in the previous example, we're with the Houston independent film industry. So, you know, we work with various little small time films and I've worked with very small time projects. Horror is a big thing. And horror is entirely dependent on controlling sound. You want scenes that have no sound. And then you want scenes that the most minor sounds sound like thunder. And, you know, you want somebody walking in the woods with the leaves. You want to hear the rustling of those leaves because somebody could visually put themselves in any film. But when you close your eyes and you could hear it and you could feel it, we all are dependent on our ears to more or less, for example, for horror, you use your ears to like oh snap, I hear something this way, I want to go this way to avoid it, or I want to go this way to avoid it. Obviously the jump scare is well known for like a sound thing, but sound helps a lot in the film because it just makes the film, it makes it relatable. And if the sound is bad and if nobody could hear it, it just automatically diminishes the quality of the film. I know a lot of people, and this is just the truth of the matter, just a lot of films that get made here in Houston, a good predominant chunk of them are going to Tubi. And unfortunately, one of the things that like just takes me out every time is when I'm watching a film or I'm putting on a project, and I've had friends who have supported and I've had to tell them, man, what happened with the sound? And it sounds like they're recording from a Tupperware container, and that just takes you out the movie because you want to get engaged with the film, with everything. You want to get engaged with the environment, with everything. If you're doing action, you want the sounds of the gunfire, you want the sounds of the zoom, you want the sound of the car going through the speed chase. It's the most minor little sounds. Editing is a long process with sound, trust me. But the sound can assist the film because the sound actually puts you there better than what you could see visually. CGI ages, claymation was once thought to be the height of filmmaking, but now we look at it and we're just like, okay, it looks goofy as shit. But the one thing that doesn't change is sound. We could hear throughout time. We're always going to have the same sense of sound. We're going to have the same ears. We're going to know what certain things sound like from now up until the end of time.
So the most common denominator is sound.
Yeah, no, the common denominator is sound. Like I said, when we're recording actors, and we've recorded our fair share of dramas, we've recorded our fair share of actors, you want to be important and you want to make sure that you contribute to the sound as an actor. The reason why sometimes your performance gets judged as bad is if you're talking and you sound like generic robot, or you sound like you're reading, like they could hear the fact that you don't know what you're saying or you barely grasp what you were saying. So that sound makes it important. I'm not trying to toot my own horn here or just, blow myself on this project, but there's a scene that we filmed in American Santa where I'm supposed to be getting bribed by the titular Santa. And so in that bribery scene, I wanted my audio, or I wanted myself to get recording because I read the lines, understood it, but I wanted to perform it in a certain way. So I wanted to make my voice sound a little bit like, I wanted to make myself sound nervous because I wanted that to be picked up in the film. I wanted to convey, hey, I'm nervous. I'm taking this bribe and I don't know what's going to happen. I'm not going to get into more details because I would like y'all to check out that project.
Listen, man, you just made an extraordinary point. Maybe a whole lot of actors look over the fact that they should also do voice training when they're trying to become this success that they have in their mind. What do you think?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Voice training is important. Look up what you probably should and shouldn't eat. I know cold water is the one that messes everybody up. I get it. It's Texas. It's hot. But room temp, if you got something to record, just stick with room temp. Keep it going because the cold's just going to make your throat sound hoarse, there's different tricks that people do for different performances. Like if somebody wants to play somebody rotund, they just like tuck their chin in so you could hear, as you could hear it right now, it sounds like weird voice. You could hear the double chin. You could visually hear the double chin. But if I put my neck up, you'd hear me talking standard, So it's just different like tricks and stuff. Like I also worked with like voice acting. If you don't mind me just plugging somebody else's work, I worked with 𝗕𝗘𝗖𝗢𝗪. I'm not even on screen. I did voiceover role for that one. And I did a voiceover as an AI character, but not necessarily as one that didn't necessarily have life to him. It was an AI character who was fucking with somebody else. It was an AI that became some guy's bro and essentially was messing with him throughout the project. But yeah, no, it's important that you just think of like little tricks and things of that nature. You get given a small role, and what I've found and what I've seen, especially when getting contacted back from people, whether from it being from acting or sound sense, is just how much you're willing to do with the little thing you're given will determine if you're going to keep coming back or if you're going to keep, going with it's going to let the studio know like, okay, this guy is going to try to go above and beyond. This guy's actually going to give his all into it, And I feel like they feel like they could just show up. Some actors, look, if you're the greatest actor in the world, God's green earth, maybe you could see the script one day and just perform it. But, sorry, we carried away. But essentially, yeah, just take what you got, take your character direction, read the script yourself, and just imagine what you would think the character would be like and try to perform it that way and see if the director goes along with it.
Hey, man, you just don't know, man. You're touching on a whole lot of points that we're going to go into with this G-code presentation. One of being One of which is, why do actors refuse to promote themselves? Why do they look over certain aspects of their craft? Why do they expect certain things to happen when they haven't went through the process of mastering the level that they are in? When they want to advance and they want to elevate, why don't they pay attention to the level that they're on enough and prove themselves to actors and casting directors and directors alike? Producers, and more importantly themselves. Why don't they pay that much attention to those steps to actually become the success they want to be?
Because for a lot of people, look, it is what it is. This is what my observation. A lot of people who get picked on these projects, they're getting picked by directors who are just starting out. And we had this conversation, and I'm not going to mention the project, but we had talked about people who, when they're starting direct or when they're doing direction, they have the film thought up in their mind. It's the greatest film they've ever made. It has an unlimited budget, unlimited actors, and all that thing. So people that I've seen directors make this mistake with is, oh, it's a movie, so I got to try to find, the most visually appealing people. And that's fine, but when you hire people based on just visual looks and how they look, like, yeah, it's great eye candy, but at the end of the day, if the acting's terrible. And people who are knowledgeable of the fact that they're used for like eye candy, like, look, I'm not going to mention names. Certain females and individuals who we've worked with in the past who they know they're great eye candy, but when it comes to try to like expand their acting things, that they don't want to do it because in their mind, you've already got the career based on being eye candy, and some people just don't want to be humble. And what I've learned the best is the more you're humble, the more you're a chill dude, the more they want you back on set. Even if they got to make up like there's been projects where they just pulled a character out of their ass just to have me there because they just like me on set and the attitude that I bring. So I feel like just be humble, have fun with it, but at the same time, don't have a big ego because, and this isn't shitting on anybody's stuff, but these are independent films. These are the films that get you noticed. These aren't necessarily the films that are going to immediately, you're not going to work on maybe one film and then go straight to a Netflix original series or a Hulu original series. It's going to take time. It's going to take an expansive amount of time to build a career, and I would just say, just go with every opportunity, but keep yourself humble and just look, some people are okay being a C-list celebrity or a D-list celebrity or even lower than that. And if they don't want to expand out of their comfort zone, I can't force another individual to expand out of their comfort zone. Like I said, you didn't force me to start working on sound films, but you had brought up the opportunity and told me how it would be more beneficial. I went on my own volition and went and returned your call and returned to work with you and continue going. I feel like that's what people have to do. You have to have the tenacity, but at the same time, be humble, man. It's a team. Together, everybody achieves more. Everybody has their roles. There's some film sets that I've worked on where I'm not going to say no directors' names, but I've seen who they put as their leads and I've seen the way they act towards other people. And to me, I feel like professionalism, especially with a film, should be more or less enforced by the director. And if the director sees that and allows that, just because it's a visual eye candy style actress or whatever, I lose respect for them because, yeah, people don't want to hone their craft. People just like to stay comfortable where they're at. But the problem with that is, look, inflation goes up, things go up, prices go up, and especially like eye candy, beauty can only visually last at max maybe. You come in at 20, maybe if you start as a child actor, at max, and that's not even me shitting on people, ladies and gentlemen, but, once you get to like 60 and all that, you're really stretching that shit thin, it's just like being an athlete, an athlete's career can at max go 20 years, they have to expand into different things. And I feel like people just don't take the time to really expand themselves into different things because they want to stay comfortable where they're at.
So in other words, and I don't mean to continue this same topic and beat a dead horse, I will beat a dead horse, but we don't want to beat a dead horse today. But in other words, you're saying that some of these actors get on set for the first time, or maybe the second time or whatever, on independent projects, or maybe even on major projects with small roles. And then after they've done what they've done on these projects, they are instant divas. Is that what you're saying?
I'm not saying all, but there's a bad, stigma of it, where it's just like, okay, well, look, I have IMDb myself, but my shit don't even have my picture on it. All right, you got to be humble. You got to keep doing things, and if you're still going, look, that's great that you have the resume, that you have the work to back it down. But realistically, I want you, just for everybody, sit down, watch your projects, really showcase your projects to people, and really think, my father was huge on taking pride in his name and taking a pride in what you have your name attached to. So when I see my name attached to anything, I want to make sure that I gave it the best that I could. I want to give it the best that I could. It came from when I was playing soccer as a kid. Sometimes, you don't win every game. Sometimes you do take losses. Sometimes everything that you worked on doesn't come out great. But at the same time, the most foolish person on God's green earth is the person who thinks that they know everything. I know what I know about audio, but every time I go to a set, I treat it like if I'm just learning it for the first time. Not as in asking questions all the time, no. But treating it as in, okay, this is what I know, this is my chance to prove myself. Because every opportunity I get given, I use it as an opportunity to prove myself. If it grows a name and if it builds a name behind me, I'm, thankful for it. But at the same time, it's me honing my craft to the best of the abilities. And that's what, getting hired to be a sound person does for me. It's just like, all right, cool, gives me a chance to hone my abilities. And I get that, you get a little bit of clout, you might get a little bit of followers, but at the end of the day, time dissipates. And look, man, my followers are probably like less than 200 people. And realistically, out of all the people who follow me on Instagram, I probably hang out with 5. You got to get your head out the digital world and just go outside and go along in the real world,
Get into the real world.
You got a name in Houston, that's cool, but if you drive to Baytown, do they know you in Baytown? Do they know you? You don't even I'm not telling you to go to a different state. I'm telling you just go to a different city. You go to Cyprus, they're going to know you in Cyprus? Are they going to know you? Houston's a huge city. It's got subdivisions. Is every subdivision going to know you? Just humble yourself, hit the project. And I know that's been like an issue that's reoccurring with everybody. But at the same time, I get knowing your self-worth, but at the same time, there's a fine line between knowing what you're worth and then straight arrogance. So you don't want to be on the wrong side of that line.
Mm-hmm. Good points, man. And that brings to mind Harrison Ford, who got the part as Han Solo in Star Wars. He was on set as the carpenter. And something happened with the guy who was supposed to be Han Solo, and they was like, well, just go get the carpenter. And now we have Harrison Ford. And if you look at the career of the guy who played Luke Skywalker, not so much, but Harrison Ford has made a whole life and a name for himself just on being in the right place at the right time. And like you said, he had enough tenacity to show up on the set and be humble. And he got the opportunity and made everything out of it.
Yeah, he made the actor Mark Hamill. He mainly transitioned to voice work, and he's well respected as like the voice of the Joker in the Batman animated series.
Yeah, well, I didn't know that too.
Yeah,
I know Harrison Ford. I know.
Yeah, everybody knows Harrison Ford. He did the great amount of movies.
Right.
One of my personal favorites is obviously everybody's going to say like Indiana Jones and shit like that, but
right.
This franchise kind of been like, Rocky for me. For me, I love his performance in The Fugitive, but
you still naming movies that we all know.
Yeah, I'm naming films that we all know. But I mean, like I said, people just gotta almost take a chill pill, man. Everybody's gonna work on this as a team. I've worked on various projects, as an actor, and I've worked on various projects as like a sound guy. Everybody wants to talk. Everybody wants to collab. Everybody wants to say, are we gonna work anything? You might get a few followers, but then sometimes you get the followers in a text message, you might not even get a response back. So just I tend to keep my business, personal, separate, and I feel like that's the way everybody should do it. And I personally feel that people just get caught up in thinking that their piece of the pie is the most important piece of the pie. But at the end of the day, the analogy, and I'm not trying to make this political, I'm not, so please don't get mad at me, but the analogy for the cops is always, just a few bad apples. Well, if you get an apple pie and that apple pie has a few bad apples, the overall review of the pie is that it fucking sucked. So if you have your opinion of yourself and your position, you could think highly of it. You can sell how it's vital to the film. But at the end of the day, my sound is only going to be complementary with the actor's performance. It's only going to be complementary with the actor's direction. It's only going to be amplified by the editor's decisions. and the audience will, at the end of the day, be the ultimate judge. Whether they sat down to invest the 1 hour and 30 minutes or the 2 hours required to actually view the film, and whether you impress them enough that they can actually continue things word of mouth, then that's the overall reflection of the quality of your film. If you can hear about your film from other people talking about it just randomly, and you weren't even bringing it up in the conversation, that's how I personally feel. You made like a great film when someone's talking about how good it is, and you didn't even have to bring it up. Somebody just brought it up naturally.
Yes. Good points again, man. Good points again. Now, I share the same sort of evolution as you did. I came out of music. I came out of music just to make soundtracks in movies. I didn't get into this to be a movie maker or an actor, anything like that. It kind of happened as I went along, though, because I came in with a serious goal to become a soundtrack producer, just like you becoming an astute sound man on set, right?
Right.
But since you did what you did, you became this person that casting directors sought out for playing roles. And I share the same experience. So I'm trying to let the audience know that you may have a goal in mind, but you have to go about it a certain way. Everything is mathematics and evolution. You can't just skip over cause and effect. You got to put some cause in it to get the effect that you want. And you can't just say, hey, like you said, I look good and show up on. It's happened to me like a handful of times, I'm supposed to be the main person and the camera's supposed to be on me. And I know I was late, but still, that type of stuff, that don't work, especially on a project that involves so many cast members and crew people who are all on time because it's time sensitive. You have to make sure that you're bringing you're toting your load. And that's what gets you more roles and more opportunities down the line. Yeah. So,
sorry.
Got some, you want to?
Didn't mean to interrupt, but what I wanted to just add on to that is just, it's just, it's just about working together and actually doing this as a team, Is everybody coming in here with the perspective of, I'm going to give my best performance to help the film, or I'm going to give my best performance to heighten me? Everything's got to be a teamwork, I came from, like I said, a background of being a pro wrestling fan. So the bad guy wrestler has to look badass. He's got to look like he's beating the shit out of a little weak hero wrestler who's appealing to the crowd. And then the weak hero wrestler's got to have his moments where he just overpowers it. But, it's choreography and they work together. And, I think the main thing that people just get caught up in is there's don't bring perceptions of Hollywood into a Houston independent film. Okay, maybe Hollywood has backstabbing. Maybe Hollywood has a bunch of issues, but you're dealing with people who don't have neither the money nor the power that you think they do. So just lay low, just chill. Don't treat it like it's community theater, but at the same time, put your best foot forward and try to advance it.
Now, this Hollywood thing is a very mythical concept right about now. And the ideal of what Hollywood is in people's mind is not real reality. So that is actually the title of the first show for G-Code presentation, is the origin of Hollywood and why it's important. But before we go, one more time, what is it that you would like to bring to the filmmaking business in Houston, Texas? First, how it will benefit you and how it will provide more value to the marketplace in Houston, which needs it so much. And what do you plan on doing on personal level to make this happen?
So on a personal level, what I want to do is what I've just been doing is just working with other creatives and trying to get it, things done. But as I've said, I've had screenwriting software that I have scripts sitting in. I would like to get more into writing. I have my degree in communications, and so I just want to try to actually put that more into work. And I actually want to work on documentaries, but I also want to work on just mini series. I want to work on humor, because I feel like, not that saying comedy is dead. No, it's never been dead. It's just who you joke around with and how you perceive the joke and how you do it, and if you set it up smartly. A lot of people just think that saying something shocking is, oh, that's the joke. Because no, you work your way to it. You do things. You work on that. So one of the series that I've written, basically, one of the series that I've written is just a comedy. It's a dark comedy, but there's a lot of aspects of horror to it, basically, because horror is one of the cheapest things you can produce. Work within your budget. Work within your budget. Work, even if you know you don't have a budget, think about what you could film that doesn't have it. And basically, what I want to do for the Houston film scene is I actually want to show how diverse we are, and I don't want to get this on a tangent, and I don't want this to be misconstrued, my apologies, as me saying something negative, but there's this problem going around where, and again, I have no issue with it at all. It's just in the way how you frame it. There's a lot of studios and a lot of things that say we want to have a diverse cast, we want to have a diverse crew, and they only want to keep it to the one race that they are. And look, I get it. Everybody, you want to uplift your race, and you want to uplift everybody's voice and opportunity. There's people who might share the same skin color as you that you feel aren't getting that opportunity. And I appreciate that. But I feel like if you're going to say that you're going to be diverse, everybody, actually try your best to get everybody. And don't just put them in the film just for them to be in it. Try to, talk to your actors, see how you can incorporate things from their culture to the characters that they're going to be playing, things of that nature. I just want to make it just more diverse, but I also want people to see that it could be done. When I lived by myself, I said everything that I'm doing now, I'm going to do it so my siblings can see that I've done it, and they can see that you can do it, because I'm the oldest of 4. So that's what I just want. I want to bring that same gung-ho spirit just to people who want to make things. If you're actually willing to make things, if you're willing to just make accommodations, if you're willing to just work with me and just be patient, I'll work with you. Just be patient online as well, because I do know sometimes things get hectic. A lot of this is all passion, and passion doesn't pay that well, but we all do it for the love of the game. So I would like to try to revolutionize ways on how we could build funding for films and monetize things. I will get more into that specifically when I actually get to doing it. Not that I want to hoard all the money to myself. No, it's just that I would like to try to do it first, see if it works before I recommend somebody else does it.
Right.
Yeah, but I just want to just make it more diverse. I just want to make Houston get its proper respect, and get the fun that it does. All these movies are getting made in studios in either Los Angeles or New York, and I feel like it just cuts off us, and I want us to have our own impact and have our things. Like, there used to be an old pizza restaurant, I forgot its name, but you would walk into it and you would see posters, and every poster that was on that wall was a film that was filmed in Houston, whether it was Urban Cowboy or RoboCop 2, things of that nature. So that's kind of what I want to bring it back to.
Sounds good, man, and we look forward to seeing what you do. Of course, we're going to work together on a lot of things. We got a lot of things coming up, and I want to thank our audience who are tuning in to our very first show, G-Code Presentations. It's not exactly what we were going for, design-wise and location-wise, but it's a great start, and, I kind of like it. And appreciate Mr. Guzman coming out, putting it down for us on the sound and sharing some of his experiences with us. And we'll see you on the next broadcast. Thank you very much, and we'll holler.